Is it not a beautiful morning?
Top of the morning.
Top of the morning. Don't sound too excited. Let's see, spin around. Good morning, folks. We are out here. We're going to have a little fun today. You can see it is still, today's Sunday, it's still very ice-packed and cold and, below freezing. But you're used to this, whether you want to be or not.
Yeah.
Location conditions.
It's refreshing.
Yeah. So we're out here at the mill, and today, since I have a guest, say hello, Peter.
Hello.
He's come down to visit, and we've talked a lot. Had just like a lot of you have been here. He's here, and we're having a pretty serious, in-depth discussions, and they're fun. And just like many of you who have been here, he keeps saying, "Wow, we should have videoed this. 'Cause this was some good shit."
Yeah. A lot of content.
A lot of content, but no, we're gonna have some more. We're gonna have some more here. So, I figured what we would do today is kind of I've done my solar 101s. We're gonna do a milling 101 just for the fun of it, because I want to walk him through what we've got here so he can kind of learn it. And since I'm gonna, if he's comfortable with it, I'm gonna let him actually do some controlling of what he cuts, just to actually do the cutting. And that means I'm going to teach him about how and why we do things in certain ways. Just some basics. We're not going to get crazy, but we're going to have some fun here and share that with you folks out there in YouTube land. So the first question I asked him was, all right, first test, question number 1, what is that thing? And he said a
log mover.
A log mover. Yeah, actually it does move logs. That much is pretty simple. But for those of you who don't know, that is a cant hook. And there are different kinds and types that you can get, but we carry one of those here for some of these monsters that are very heavy, especially when we get to the oak ones. These aren't too bad. We can pick them up, but they give us a backache for a couple of days when we do that. But, all right, so let's take a quick look at this. I tell you what, you take the camera. You're very good. He said he wanted to be a cameraman for a bit. T's inside preparing. She's already put some lubricant in. I'll explain that here in a second. And then we found out, well, the little line is frozen, so she's gone to get some hot water. So let's do a quick rundown on just the basics of what the mill is. You have your power plant. There are different kinds of power plants that you get. This is a Honda. It's a 21 horsepower, and this is one really good motor. Some other mill manufacturers will put 12 or 18 horsepower Briggs and Strattons. There's another channel out there, Matthew Cremona, who's up there in, I think, Michigan, and he's got his run by I think it's a 3-phase, I don't know how many horsepower motor, electric. But so the power plant is over here. Come on around here, and don't think I'm going to disassemble it, because I think we're okay. So this is called the cutter head, and for all of you who are interested, Mike down in Flippin, Arkansas, Mr. Sawmill, that's his deal, and there's his number. Talked to a guy last night that was kind of interested in it. Really pleased with his construction on it. But all right, so this is the cutter head, and this is the carriage. So this frame up here is the carriage that this whole thing rolls on. You have 2 sets of 1-inch tubing track here that the carriage rolls on, and then we got these kind of wheels right here that they roll on, and for whatever reason that one isn't quite sitting. There it is. And then in order to adjust the carriage head up, why don't you come on in and see if you can't thaw that line. You have this crank. So there's a little gearbox here. There's a little locking engagement here that you can use to let it go down, up and down. And then he's got a little magnetic measuring strip right there for us to set our depth of cut. And it's not the I want to say, of all the mills that I've seen, it's probably not the most accurate, because the turns on here don't correlate with the amount of depth of cut. So you really have to watch this as to where you fall when you set it. I'm okay with that. It works really well. So come around over here. On this side, we have a tension setting threaded rod. It's an Acme threaded rod so that you can do it a lot, but usually you don't want to keep tension on it. I'm gonna put tension on it for running it. And so this is what sets this wheel, this flywheel. The drive wheel's over here. You can see the belt that comes from the motor to go down around the drive wheel for the belt, or for the blade. So you've got that belt, and then you've got these two. He makes these. He said it's just so much easier for him to make than it is to buy. But blade lube on one, and then the gas goes in the other. It's real simple. General same issues you'd have with any other motor. You know, you can oil filter, oil in, battery, that kind of thing. What he's working on right now is we drained this of its lube before the freeze came in the last time we ran it. However, there must have been just enough water left in this little plastic.
It's clogged with algae, though. You can see it.
Well, if it's going to be clogged, it's most likely clogged here. And has it started dripping any at all? No, just keep giving it a rinse. We're trying to, melt out the water. So it's a real simple thing. The challenge is going to be knowing how to have our little photo bomber, Shadow. She says, "Here I am," is to know how the techniques of running the mill and actually cutting stuff. So let us get us set up real quick. It's not very difficult machine to run. You just want a few understandings of how you're going to cut, why you make cuts a certain way. So let us make sure that we have everything set up, ready to go, and then we're going to talk. We'll talk about kind of how to set up your logs and what the log dogs and vices and all that stuff are down here to kind of help you do that, and we'll be right back. All right, we got her up and running. It was frozen, and T got it thawed, and now the lubricant's moving, so we're ready to go. Warmed it up just a little bit, but let's talk about a few things in our little milling 101. All machines have a few things that you use to help position and control the cut of the log. Okay, so we threw this one up on here just to get it out of the way. So it is going to be the first one, but it's going to be a good example of this. Now, I haven't talked about this in previous videos. I've just done it when you've seen me cut. So you have these uprights that are over here, and this is to lock your logs down in a 90-degree face to your bed. So this is your bed. So you have these, and when you make your first cut, you want to set your log. You want to set your log up against these, like this. And you hold that, baby. And then, ooh, this is not going to be good. I got to go get my other gloves. I got to get my other gloves. We're going to have to be careful. These are green, and they're like
Sappy.
just using sap, and I don't want that. But these are your log dogs. There's different ways of doing it. You know, what is the orange was the Norwoods? I forget what they are. Some of them are hydraulic. Most of them are manual. The Woodland mills, they're manuals. These are manuals, adjustments. You have to come down here and do it yourself. But essentially what you want to do is lock that log in place so it doesn't move. But before we do that, in order to get the best cut out of this, there is a little process that we go through. Here it is in order to run your best cuts and get the best cut out of this wood, what you want to do is center the pith. The pith is the first bit of growth that comes in any tree. It's the very center of growth in that little tiny ring in the middle. The pith is right there. What we want to do is make sure that we have leveled our log so that the pith is parallel to the bed. It's a challenge, otherwise you get slanted cuts through the log, and I want those cuts to be as parallel to the pith or parallel to the center of the log as possible. So what I do when I see that we've got a log, so like on this end is 7 inches, and then I go over to this end and we are 9.5 inches on this end. That means we got an 1.5 inch difference in the diameter from here to there. Oh, she's so good. I don't like milling or doing work in this jacket or this shirt. That's why I threw this old ratty thing on, and she's bringing me my better gloves because I didn't think about doing that. She thinks for me sometimes really good. So really well. Somewhere under this snow I have some shim pieces of wood. If I can't find them, we're probably going to have to go get some new ones.
I can see one.
One. And, oh, it's cold. Brr, it's cold.
Although, we may have, oh, I got it.
Alright, so I have some different thicknesses of shims. I've got a 1/2 inch one, I've got a 3/4 inch one, and I got a 1 inch one, so that I can use it to bring the log closer to parallel to the bed. Ooh, that's a cold shirt.
Well, it was on the floor.
It was on a burr when you walked out here with it.
Fill it full of ice first.
Yeah. All right. So I got my milling gloves here because these are covered in sap. All right. Let's put these away and put this somewhere. And so, do we see any others?
I got that one.
So we have an 1.5 inch difference. I kind of need to bring this end up
I think the others are buried.
3/4 of an inch.
I think the others are buried.
All right, we need to get a new one then, because this one's not thick enough. That's only a 1/2 inch. We need about a 3/4 one. So we're gonna get this bunked up and then re-dog down, and then I think we'll be ready for making some cuts. Okay, so we're going to do a little revisement. Here's one way you check it. If you have the ability to measure straight off your bed, you can do that, but I don't need that. I just need the same measurement. Come on in a little closer so they can hear me, because I know this camera doesn't pick up voice unless you're close. So right now, using this board as a reference point, I've got about 3¼ inches to the center of the pith. Okay. T has gone and gotten some more shims, but when we got over here and measured this side, I've only got 3 inches to the pith, which means I don't think I need to shim it up that much, because there looks like a little bit of a flare up in the end. Okay, so if I shim it up even more, then I'll actually throw out of alignment the log this way. But almost every tree has a bit of a taper to it. There's always going to be a small end and a large end. When you buy or sell logs, the person buying the logs is always going to measure the small end, because that's the maximum that you're going to get on a parallel through here, because I can't get this diameter down there. I can't get these dimensions down there. So what I'm setting this up is to make sure that when I make my cut, that I'm going to maximize the small end, and that can be done with this thing spun around and the small end over here or the small end over there. It doesn't matter, because I just got to be aware of me putting things into alignment. So I think we got it. I don't think I'm going to shim this up since we've measured the center. I think we're just going to make a cut and see what it looks like inside. I'm eager to see all these beautiful knots are going to make some nice figures. So let's get her going. So come on in. All right, I just did a initial skim coat or skim cut, so I could check my alignment and see how I'm tracking. I like what I got here. I went kind of light. Now we're mostly, oh look at that, mostly in the sapwood here. So you can see mostly yellow. Come on in real close with the camera. All right,
Making my own shadow.
yep. So you got some, nice sapwood green here. This is not something that we're going to use, but what it did is it showed me by my cut that I had a very good alignment on this and not jacking up this end with a shim. So I like what we got. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take another inch cut. I've got a good one here, so we'll have a 1-inch slab come off of this. So let's pull the next one out. One of the things you got to do when you're running this, and if you watch some of the automated mills out of the woods, YouTube channel Out of the Woods, the beautiful machine he has, $70-something thousand machine, has an automatic thing that actually cranks it up. All right, the reason you want to do that is you need to lift this back up off the wood. Honey, shut the lube off. All right. You need to lift that blade up so that when you pull back, you don't hit it. Because if you hit it from the back side, the blade will come out. You don't really want that. I've done it once. I learned my lesson. I hopefully will never have that happen again. So come take a look. T's cleaning it off. Look at that. That's some beautiful color. Beautiful green. We got some nice bullseyeing from this from the knots. So this makes a pretty board. This one we'll take and set off to the side here, and we'll find a use for this dude somewhere as well. But now we've gotten a good face, and there's a couple of different techniques that people use. One of the things you might have noticed is I hit this with the blade guide here, which means if I was going to leave this log right here, I would need to get the chainsaw out and I'd have to clean this off so that the blade guide could get by this. We'd have to make sure that was happened. But we're not going to do that because we now have a good face to square this thing up on. So we're going to turn this 90 degrees. Some people will do it 180. I think Nathan, he does his at 180. A lot of people do it at 90. Doesn't really matter. I've done both. Alright, and let's roll it up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set my log up against, ooh, that might not work. That knot is hitting the
bed.
the lower bed. So let's go that way with it. Push it that way. Ah, I'm so sappy. All right, now that we've gotten this face in alignment, what I need to do is also check it on this plane for being for the pith or the center of the log for being parallel to the log. So I'm going to parallel to the bed. So I'm going to get this log or this board, and it's just a reference point, and I'm going to measure this. So I'm the center of where I want to be is actually more about here and not the pith, because this is kind of offset. So I'm going to adjust it down. I want the center of that to be about 1.25 inches off this board. Move that out of the way. And this is 2.25. So this time, because it's just sitting different based on the knots and the bumps and stuff, I am going to raise this end up. So what do we do with the, I took them over here.
I'm just holding this parallel because
Yeah, we'll get there.
It will rock.
All right, so I've got 1.25 inches. So this, between these two, I've got 1.25 inches. I got a 1/2 inch and a 3/4 inch piece. So that should be enough to get this up so that I have a nice parallel cant. So, honey, come help me lift this up. All right. Now I'm going to set that there. I'm actually also want to raise this up. There we go. So I got a better flat surface. So what I want to do is make sure that that cut is flush up against there. So if you want to hold that, let me raise this one up too. I'm going to raise this one up too. So
Dog it down, otherwise
I'm going to dog it down. Alright, that's not going anywhere. So I'm about 2.25 to the center on this edge of where I want to be. And then I'm looking, the top of this log's at 7. And let's see where we're at. So off of this, I don't really want to be here. I want to be here. So I've got about 2 3/8, which is just fine. And I'm about 6 right here to the top of the log. You see that? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop down to 6 inches, and I'm going to make my first cut at 6 inches just to see how true I am to the top. And then I can take a 1/by off of that to get to 5, and that would give me a 1/by that may not be perfect but usable for other things, and that'll should get me close. So by the time I get down to 5, you can see I'll have a nice face here. So let's do 2 cuts here real quick. Alright, so that board had one good true edge on it, and then it has a live edge on the other side. I can come back later, I can take that board, I can stand it on in, and then I could run off and square up that other edge if I want to. But right now we're still working on the cant. Take a look, come in here and do your close-up on that. Yep. All right. Now I've got 2 faces set to square up our cant. This is the cant. And so we have to take the shims out. T and I have messed up and left them in, and what that does is it leaves us a tapered board. Go ahead and pull that off, honey. And now that we have a flat, sharp edge here, this thing only needs to just hang on that edge. We'll set that one down. This will allow us to cut down as low as we want to go. But right now, all we want to do is square it up. All right, so I should have a pretty close to 90-degree set here. There are tools that have been demonstrated on other channels for checking that once we get everything rotated around. But the guy who built this did a pretty good job of getting these uprights pretty damn close to 90. I've had a hard time arguing with the angle on it.
What are you doing, little boy?
Is he coming back? Smokey! I mean, what you doing? Hey, buddy. You don't like this. None at all.
Is it funny how cedar smells like gerbils?
Oh, maybe it's because gerbils smell like cedar.
Gerbil.
Gerbils. They're rodents.
Yeah, I know what they are.
Oh my goodness, that's interesting. I'll jack that up. It pulled it up. It's pulling it up. Let's try it down here.
Still kind of pulls it up.
All right, well, let's raise one of these up so we keep our angle square.
Probably that end one. That's where it wants to go.
Yeah, let's put that one up there. Alignment means everything. In everything that you do, if you're in alignment, things go smoothly. If not, you come off angle cut.
No.
That move? So what do I got here? Let's check it off. So I almost cut it bad because I forgot that I was measuring off the board instead of measuring off the deck. But let's see. We are about 6 inches to the top. I think I'm going to set my cut at 5 inches. That's not going to get rid of all the bark, but it will.
What are you doing, bud?
It will definitely square it up and clean it up. So let's do that. Smokey. Take a look at this baby. Starting to look pretty. All right, so there's another one that's got one edge on it that we can parallel it up, and we'll make a decent 1x, I don't know, 1x4, 1x3, something like that. We can clean that up, or we can leave a live edge. I've seen some nice shelving units that were cedar and had live edge on it that people would put some cups and plates and stuff on. But we'll see what we do with it. We're getting down here to the nitty-gritty of it.
And the sawdust gets used, you use that sawdust again.
All right, so hello, let me sit down for you. All right, so this cedar sawdust, it will decompose, but one of the reasons we use it for things like fence posts and stuff like that is because it doesn't decompose early or very quickly at all. What we've been doing with it is kind of our own organic insect repellent. So when we get a good pile of it, we've been taking it around the cabins and stuff and sprinkling it all over the ground, because bugs don't like this stuff for the most part. Very few bugs like it. The bees have been coming over here when it's warmed up and eating the sap off of it to make propolis. So the bees are using the sap for propolis, but the sawdust, cedar sawdust, can last a long, long time. I was watching a thing on, I guess some YouTube video a couple years back about the history of the logging out in California with all the big redwoods, the western red cedars, and where they had the old mills, 100 years ago, when they were milling these giant sequoias, the giant redwoods and stuff, that there were mountains of this cedar sawdust, not one bit of decomposition. They're still sitting there forever. So it's not something that we're going to put in our garden like we do with the other sawdust. We'll spread it where we don't want bugs, and that's about it. We're not going to do a lot with it. All right, so let's flip this over. All right, I'm going to lower this one back down. Now we got equal. So to get down into the heartwood, it needs to be a 5-inch square. And 5-inch square, we'll get it right there. 5 inches is into the white. There's not a huge log off of that, so 5 inches. So I'll take a bit of wood off the top, but I think that'll leave us with a 5x5 cant. And then we'll see whether we want to make some 1-bys with it. So, alright, so, and I always look under here because his method of getting this edge, there's a little gap here, so if I'm looking at an angle, it's hard for me to get accurate. So when I look underneath it, I can see straight across the flat and into the middle of that black line to know that I'm getting a somewhat accurate measurement on it. There are more accurate ways that you could create this. Since this is just bolted on here, I could probably take this off, cut this down, and weld a little point on it that sits much closer to that. For me, this is what I've been doing, just looking underneath it for the best accuracy. He did a good job. I'm not faulting him. I always look to improve things. So maybe one of these days I'll do a little welding and cutting and make a nice sharp point so I can see exactly where I am on my measurements. All right, let's make this cut. Let's scrape this thing down. Now that's a pretty piece of wood. What do you think? All right, so what we have now is a fully cleaned up cant. It is 5 inches by 5 inches, and I've tried to maximize what I could get. As you can see, towards the end, I only have just a tiny little bit of bark still left here. So the real question is, now that I've got it down to the absolute usable piece of wood that we have here, what do I want to keep doing? Right now, because we're going to need a lot of 1-bys, I'm just going to keep making 1-bys. We could do 2-bys, we could do some other thicknesses, we could do, so that's called a 4/4. 4/4 is a 1-by. You do 5/4, 6/4, 8/4, that kind of thing, depending upon what you need. But since this is, looks like it's just going to make good 1-bys. The other posts, like this one right here, because of the diameter on this, and this is the usable end. It's sticky. I'm thinking that is just going to be a 4x4, 4 inches by 4 inches, just cleaned up. And because this one's really thinner than that end, there's a big diameter difference. So we'll probably turn like this one into a post. But see this one right here, because this is the small end and it's such a big diameter, I think we're going to try and get some, go right down the side of it and just keep cutting 1-bys and get some really nice wide 1-bys out of this one. We'll see how we go. Let's just finish this one up. shut off. All right. So it leaves me with almost a 5/4. A little bit extra, but we can plane that down. So that's it. We got a bunch of really nice 1-dies out of that, and your turn.
Okay. Let's go see
You wanna go sit?
how
All right,
T's
you wanna
stacking
go
them.
show that off? Okay. And T's up here stacking them up, and she's got the extra thick ones. Oh, no, those are the same thickness. They all go up here. So one of the things she's going to make sure of when she sticks these up is that she's using the same thickness sticks, so that that really truly lays flat as best as possible, because it will dry in a warped position. So that's not a bad little haul for that little log.
You know, they're all free, right? Reclaimed lumber.
Well, they were going to get burned.
Yeah.
You saw what was going on yesterday
Yeah.
when we went down there.
Rescued them from the burn pile.
Rescued them from the burn pile. And these are going to be gorgeous. So, again, I say it's your turn, buddy.
Okay.
So,
I just want to know what I'm going to be doing before I do it.
okay.
So start. So we'll take T
Yeah.
on.
And then start, but you want the gas on first. So let's not start this yet,
I'm
but
not starting it.
you give it
what
some
the
gas
process
and
is.
it should fire right up.
And the choke doesn't need.
You know, it's warm.
No,
You don't
we
need to
don't
choke
need
it.
it.
We only did that. I only did that when we first got going.
Okay.
So we had to let the battery charge up on this phone. Doesn't last as long as it used to. And we pretty much set up, but we did forget one thing. So he's doing it this time. We've talked through the setup on it. Come around over here and tell me, over here, and tell me what we're missing. What are we missing? We got a position, but you got something you got to do.
These things?
Yeah, you got to get it. So here's how we do that. So that this is a cam, okay? And as you turn this, from the center of rotation, the distance grows on it. So as you turn this in, he's got little teeth on. I like his setup on this. This guy that did it. But you get it up here, and what you want to do is position this here. Now lock down the screw, and then you can. Oh no, you didn't have it far enough. Go ahead and loosen that up, and then push it up in. There you go, and then lock that down. And now you can. Now go ahead and lock it in there. That should hold that wood. It puts a little pressure on it, and some boards it'll actually bend it. But we did a good job. I think we got it shimmed the way we want to get a good cut. So we checked our height over here, and it doesn't matter what is it over here on. What is it over here on our thing here? Oh, look at that. So we're dead on 7, which is very good. That means that gives us a good reference for our next cut, and we can start using that. That just happens.
Be 6.
Yeah, that just happens to be lucky for us that it did that, because it doesn't always do that. And then you'll have a off thickness cut to bring everything into a nominal inch cant on the log. So go ahead. Let's make the first cut. And T is the helper over here. She usually
Gas up.
Yeah, you can pull that up, turn it on.
Yeah, this is one thing. It wasn't the best because you hit it and it's been a few times, but he's trying to be safe with it and put a shield around it.
Yeah.
Not sure the best. It could be improved. All right, so you've done a good job. We got a good slant here. What'd you do with that?
It's
Over there?
pile.
Yeah, we can leave that one for Marty, because that'll be hard to true it up to a 1x4. So let's just focus on what we've got. And yes, Marty will be coming along here. He's got other obligations today. So let's do a different trick here. Okay, so now that we got one surface flat, right? Instead of turning it 90, let's turn it 180.
Yep.
All right. So we're going to take the shims out, very good, and flip that thing over 180. Boom. Now we want our bungs, not our bungs, the bungs are these, our uprights, to go all the way down to middle height of the board. There we go. Oop. Nope, that's got to come up, honey.
I know.
There you go.
My fingers don't want to get on it.
There we go. Now, because we were lucky enough and you had that dimension fall right on the 7-inch, and then we cut it at 6-inch, then we know we got a true measurement off our bed. So what we want to do is see if we can cheat out a 1x on this. So what we're going to do is you're going to set the height of the blade at 5 inches.
Yep.
And yes, yep, dog it down. Very good. You're going to set the height of the blade at 5 inches. We're going to run a cut at 5 inches to give us a slab off of this. And then come back in. There you go. There you go. All right, did that rock that thing? It looked like it might have rocked.
Like it, and I think that block is too high. I think
Actually,
this is too high.
it's sitting on the deck flat. It's good. And it will be too high for the second cut. So let's just let him get the first cut. See how it looks.
So
Look underneath it.
I looked underneath. It's slightly below 5. Is that where I want?
No, you want to be where the bottom of the blade, the marker blade, is right in the middle of the black line. So click, 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 up, one little bit more, right there. Now you're centered of that 5. I can get pretty true cut boards looking that way. At some point in time I might, but see, it sits off. There's a gap here, so it makes it hard to visually see where you're at. But yep. At 5 inches, that'll be a bark cleanup cut, and then we'll see what the full cut goes. So go ahead, fire them up, and all right, so what we've done is flipped it over so we can square it up. This is not a big log, and what we're aiming for is to get a good 4x4 post out of this as best we can. And we're kind of sneaking up on it with every cut. So we're taking a cut that's about an inch off of where we think we want, and then we're making another cut. And that's why we're getting some of these, which, oh, Marty, we know where he's going to love. And then the stuff that we're going to get, we're going to be putting over here. But so this is a big difference. So we're trying to skim out a little bit of 1x in this before we get down to the thickness on the end of that one. And we're almost there. We're doing a good job. So we're set at 5.5. All right,
You
so
lose 1/8 of an inch every time you cut.
that's about the thickness of the cut. What do you want, Shadow? We're gonna run this again.
Right.
All right, so go ahead and take that cut,
Goodbye, Shadow.
and then once we get that, let's take the cut at 4.5, because I think I'm setting you off a 1/2 inch here on purpose, because I think once we get that cut, we may flip this back over and take a 1/2 inch cut and take that little bit of bark off the bottom side, and then we're gonna really have a clean looking post. So go ahead and take that one. Awesome! All right, so that left us with a nice little 1/2 inch piece in order to get our full 4x4. And that 1/2 inch piece is going to be perfect, because when I go to do a lot of my windows, I'm going to need some shimming based on the position of the window in it. And so that piece will get used, I promise you, if not for something else. And then we got a beautiful cored out 4x4 here. So I got one question for you, Peter. How are you gonna fit this on the carry-on?
Well, I don't know. I might not get it through security. We'll see.
It's one of those restricted items, huh? 4x4 posts aren't allowed on carry-on. All right, well, we're gonna jump ahead, and then now that he's got a clue and I've got a clue of where we're going, we're just gonna start loading up some big logs and running some stuff up. Battery needs to be charged on this, so we'll go do that. We are back after lunch, and we did a real good job of stacking some more up there. Hey, photo bomber Shadow. And we've got a real tricky one here, so I gave it to him to do. And so this one is oblong and oblong shaped and offset and everything. So we did some looking at it, and we got a nice wide spot down here at the bottom. And what we want to do is try and get some boards in it. But if you look at it from here, there's like a thickness right here that goes through, and then there at that next limb, the thing bumps up in thickness. So we're thinking we can get some slabs or something off of the top of that before we get down to cleaning out the actual full-length meat on this thing. So we're gonna have some fun with this one. It's a challenge to figure out how we get it on here. We've had to shim it up, of course, because the bottom end is really nice and thick. I had to bump it over because we also had to trim off these knots so that the blade guide wouldn't hit it, and we could come down here and try and do a good job on it. So yeah, she'll run, she'll go. So you got it set where you think you want it. What's that? Where's the setting on the on our ruler here? Just a hair above 10. Oops.
Yeah, 10 1/4 almost.
Can't see that.
Not with the sun hitting.
Yeah, the sun's in the wrong place. 10 1/4. So we're a little high. So it doesn't matter now what that thickness is, because we're just pulling off some skims. But when we get down here and flip this to the other side, that's when we want to definitely check for sure. So what we're trying to find is the best surface that we can here, and we're going to play around with it a little bit. So give her a go. Let's see what we can maximize out of this. Go ahead and take that slab.
Daisy chains and sweet champagne, and 2 days alone with you. Not too far from the city by car. Oh, maybe we can make a trip by train to the country. It's where I want to be. At least until our stomachs hurt us. You skip rocks across the river. Now watch the waves upon the water. And oh, nothing too complex, just music and dancing every night. And oh, this is the meaning of my whole life. You wear a crown of flowers you found, and my eyes trace a flight of fancy. Stoned from the sun and the wind gets us drunk. Oh, what a simple fantasy, but right now I don't care. In the country, and it's where I want to be with you for the weekend. tank will allow. We can shoot at cans, go swimming in the dams. We can do whatever we want here any day in the country. That's where I want to be with you forever. Oh, we can do whatever that we choose. That's right now in my mind. We walk for hours with no purpose, at least until our stomachs hurt us. You skip rocks across the river, and I watch the waves upon the water. Though nothing too complex, just music and drinking every night. And oh, this is the meaning of my whole life.
It never phases me. As soon as I want to talk, the rooster crows. Okay, so we're nearly done for the day. Peter's done a good job of making some boards for me, and we've got a little bit of extra cleanup to do. So there's a trick to these boards that have got one straight edge but one live edge, and you want to true them up. Before you get done with your last cant, you use this as a holder. Then you can take one of these that has a good straight edge, but you want to clean this off, and you can turn it up and put it right there. And then lock it against it like so. So this board, or this big board, is going to hold in place this one so that we can get it at a 90 and get that edge cleaned up. And it looks like, based on what's available, if we cut it right at about that height, maybe a click or so above there, that we'll get a good 1x3 out of it.
Yep. Okay. So you try to get the maximum out of each board.
I'm trying to max it out.
Yep.
We'll figure it out when we, when we get to trimming them up for after we've planed them down and all that. So let's go ahead and let's run a couple of these. You can keep the camera going, and I'll get it this go around. Go ahead and get the two there.
You forgot to raise it.
Got that on camera, didn't you? I forgot to crank it up. So, guess what we get to do? It's an excellent opportunity to put a new blade on it. So, there we go. Alright, ouch. Why don't you hit pause, let's get a new blade, and then we'll fix it up. So this is what happens when you don't have your mind in what you're doing. So if I'm sitting there playing with the camera and then jump over this, I got out of rhythm of habits. And, I tell you about habits all the time. There's good habits and bad habits. And, he did a good job of getting in the habit of raising the deck or raising the blade up every time before he came back. I pushed it through the one time, totally forgot to do it, and the wood pushed the blade back over it. And if you come in here real close, we've got broken teeth, chunks of metal cut out here. I did a good one. Show them, get right down in there. Look how I tore up on that door. Ooh, that's nasty. But that's why these
Why you have to?
that's why you have these shields and stuff on it. So I've gone ahead and loosened up the tension bolt here, and we'll go get a new blade and put it on. But this blade, I'll probably sharpen it, but it's trashed. I won't ever do. I got two other blades like that have got some damage to it. I won't ever do good clean finish work. What I'll probably use these blades that have broken teeth and stuff on is if I ever get a log that I think has
Rocks or something.
hard things in them like nails or rocks or screws or something like that, where I know I'm likely to do some damage, or I just need I need to rough off the edges, the sides of it before I get into the meat. That's what these blades go for, and I'll still try and get one more use out of them. But this one's probably had been sharpened twice, and this is its third usage. So we're not, not too bad. So let me get a new blade, and then we'll talk about how to put one on. There we go. All right, so one person can do this, but it is like there's a saying, a monkey and a football. You know the rest of that. I recommend, if you can, have two people, so one person can get it into the guide down here at the bottom, and then the guide right there, and hold it, and then I'm going to put it on here, and I'm going to roll this one on. You want gloves on, and good leather gloves, because they are sharp, and you will slice yourself up with them.
Oh yeah.
There we go. Now, that still feels kind of snug, but oh no, there we go. All right, so
No, you haven't snugged it up yet.
no, I haven't. So we don't ever leave a blade in tension on this. We always take the tension off, but it should take about one
Maybe 1
1¼ turns. There. Now we're going to kind of close these in case for some reason it runs off track. But I'm going to come over here and I'm going to start it up at idle, and I'm going to watch the flap in it, and that'll tell me how tight I need to be. I might adjust it. Hasn't hurt anything, so let's just go ahead and close it up. Where'd the other bolt go? Oh, on the ground.
Right where it should be.
Yep. And we do need to
Tighten them, honey.
tighten them. You tighten yours. Tighten it up.
You have two roosters. Very impressive technique you have.
Yeah, we have 2 roosters. Should be tight.
There you go. Looks like we got 2 palm trees.
It's called a speed ratchet. It's a double action speed ratchet.
Fully motorized.
Yeah. All right. let's put this up.
Yeah.
You got that one off.
We need to get one of these.
And a board.
Yeah, well, I think we've demonstrated what we need to. We even gave them extra credit on what not to do with a blade. So I think we call that a good video. This is going to be a long video. And
Do you want to show what you've done thus far?
here, let me give that on. All right, so we're going to wrap this up. The cant that's left, we're going to actually cut 3 more 1x6s, so we'll have 3 more there. And before we do that, we're going to run as many of these boards through on edge to true up and get us 2 clean edges on it. But we will have gone through 3 trees, 4 trees, 4 logs. We got one right here. Didn't get much in the way of 1x out of it. We just made a post. And then we had this one, and then this one, and then we'll stack this one up over here. And it's a good deal of wood. Makes you want to have a mill, doesn't it?
Makes me want to see where it's going to end up.
Oh, all over inside the windows, around the doors, around the trim around the shower, and shelving, and yeah, all over the cabin, as much as I can. So, and then after we're done with the cabin, that's when we'll start making stuff like we used to make. T and I used to make a lot of projects like cannon jar boxes and candle holders and all that good stuff. So, meow.
Yep.
Really? So, what do you think about being out here?
It's good. It's good weather for woodworking.
Good weather for doing this.
Yes.
What do you think of the place? What do you think?
It's coming together.
Coming
fast.
together?
I still remember the videos of when you were first clearing it out, and it's amazing.
Yep. There's a big hole in the wood. Meow. So, anything you want to say to anybody? You have your opportunity. Here's your 10 minutes of fame.
Hi, Lovney. Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. Hi, all 5 sisters, and all their kids.
The journey's out here on the homestead. I hope if you're interested in the mill, that you learned a little something. Encourages you to do that. Yeah, we're going to have to fix that. Y'all say goodbye. Say goodbye.